Okay, so we're going or not. All right, so this is going to be our guest speaker for our driver's ed portion of our class for today. I got Mr. Archuleta. He actually teaches with me over at Nampa High School, so he's going to be answering a few of your questions. Mr. Archuleta used to be a law enforcement, or can you go into that? Just kind of explain
Yeah.
that.
So when I graduated, I actually went to school with your teacher. We went to high school together, Meridian High School. After high school, when I became 22 years old, started the process of becoming a police officer with the Nampa Police Department. Was officially hired in 2003. Worked with them to 2011. I left them after 8 years of service. Approximately went up to Seattle and worked with a federal agency up there for a couple of years, and now I'm back here teaching law enforcement in Nampa High School.
Okay, so Mr. Archuleta is going to be the reason why we're having this for you guys. A lot of you guys are going to be driving soon, within the next couple of weeks. And my idea was that I wanted to actually talk with a law enforcement officer that's been through it, has seen it from their eyes. They're going to kind of give you guys some tips on maybe some of the things that you guys should look for. So this will be part one, and then when we come back to it, you guys are going to be able to answer your questions that you guys type in for the midterm and open house and all that stuff, and Mr. Archuleta is going to be able to answer those for you. So I started with a few kind of things that maybe I think you should know, but we'll go ahead and turn it over to an expert. So you've actually pulled over cars, like pulled people over before, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what would you say, because we're talking about young people, is the most, what's the most common reason why they would be pulled over? Specifically young people.
I would say twofold: texting and driving, or being on the phone, internet, like that kind of a deal on your device of some sort, and speed, which are typically the two that I would see are
So distracted, I guess it would be distracted driving.
distracting driving.
Okay.
Yes, and either they're texting. Some kids are very specific. I'm not texting. I'm Snapchatting. All the things that are on your cell phone when you're looking at your cell phone, you cannot see the road. It's all covered in Idaho code. So.
Okay, so and then I think that they just passed the law that you can get cited for that, right?
You can, yes.
Okay.
You can.
All right. So for you guys, young guys out there, the texting and so on. So would you say that it's the same thing for, I guess, everybody, like adults, like our age, old guys?
I would say yes. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people are texting and driving while they're, and a lot of people don't even think about it. It's just they hear the little bing, and their response is to pick the phone up and answer the question, or to see who's emailing or whatever, and it only takes a second to keep your eyes off the road for a second. Depending on how fast you're going, we do a math equation on that, but
Yeah.
how fast you cover. If you're 70 miles an hour, that's a lot of distance. You're not looking at the road for 2 seconds while you're texting. You're on your phone or looking, and a lot of distance to cover. If the road turns or something like that, you see a lot of that, which will often seems, we call it the most inciting incident. We'll send them one way and then they overcorrect. Rather
Yes.
than 2-degree turns, it's like, oh no, and then they yank the wheel the other way, which will actually cause the wreck. But it was that initial stuff.
Distracted
Yeah.
part in there. So distracted driving and speed, and those can be related because people don't know most of the time how fast you're going. So even for adults, so even when your parents, I noticed in some of you guys' discussion boards, your parents said it's okay to talk on the phone. Don't use your phone when you're driving. Okay, that's kind of the easiest one to remember. Okay, so what else did I write? Common defense, blah blah blah. Oh, okay. So let's say you've been pulled over, and I've actually wanted to ask you this question. So if you're on the freeway, is there things that you want the driver to do? Like I see sometimes they pull over to the left side, which I'm like, that's pretty bad, right? You don't want to go. Like, what would be the most ideal that you wish?
Hopefully, the officer will pick a good spot to initiate the stop.
Okay.
He's going to project where he wants you to stop, and by doing so, he'll activate your lights to try to get you to stop in a safer spot. So I would not pull over next to like a median or a barrier where there's no room on either side of your car.
Okay.
Continue on to where there's maybe an open, where there's an open median, or to the right's always preferable if you can get to the right safely. I've seen it to where the way traffic is flowing, the left is the only feasible option. That's fine. He can do it. If he does a driver's side approach, he's actually going to be out of traffic, and it's safer for the officer on the left hand of the side of the road. However, if he's probably waiting for you to go to the right, so he'll start to jump over to a lane and block traffic, and then you follow, and then watch what he does. If he starts to move left, let him secure the lane, follow it over for him, and then find a spot to stop. If you refuse to stop for an elongated period of time, they're going to assume that you're in a pursuit, and that will probably end poorly for
I've actually had that situation where I didn't know he was behind me, and he thought I wasn't, but So if
Well-
possible, turn on the pull over on the right side, right?
Yes.
He should kind of guide you that way. Um,
Another thing to note, at 60, 65 miles an hour, you'll actually outrun the sound. So
okay.
if you're on the freeway, you think, oh, I'll hear the police officer, they'll go by you, and then you'll hear their siren. So it is feasible to be, we know that too, for you to be
Okay.
driving for a while,
Yeah.
radio jamming, and look up and you're like, what the heck, I can't hear the siren. Well, we're going 70, 75 miles an hour, and you're going to be outrunning the siren. So the siren's going to be behind the car, if that makes sense. So
Yes. So obviously I wasn't paying attention. This is when I was very, very young.
Yeah.
So I wasn't paying attention, but checking your reviews, doing all those things that you guys are taught to do by your behind the wheel instructor, that's some of those things that you would want to do. If possible, the officer will guide you to the correct lane position and feasibly on the right side. Oh yeah, here's another question I was going to ask you. So let's say we are in the urban environment, like down the road, whatever, 12th Avenue or something like that, and you know the lights go on and I'm going to get pulled over. Is it okay if I pull into like a grocery store? Is that better, or is that no?
I think it's actually safer.
Okay, 'cause that's-
Because you're off the roadway, so you don't have the traffic that you have to worry about. Obviously, sometimes customers or business owners aren't really that happy because it attracts negative attention, but it's a safer option. So
Okay.
a lot of times I want you to pull into, or I'll come on my PA and be like, okay,
Pull over.
pull into that parking lot for me right there and let you know as well. So if you stop weird and they don't like it, most officers will have a PA system in their car and be able to tell you, keep going, take a left, pull, and they'll give you some directions.
Okay,
also.
okay, that's another thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so let's say you guys are driving and an officer pulls you over. I had a buddy, this is why I was going to ask you about the weapons declaration part, is that, because a lot of the students that I have do live in rural areas, and they probably will be driving with firearms. From your side perspective as an officer, like what is the driver supposed to tell? Is he supposed to tell you all this stuff before? Like, what's the correct?
The more information you give us, the better. Just because you have a firearm. So if you're a juvenile, understand and know the laws for juveniles. Most juveniles are not allowed to have a gun, so that's an additional probably charge if you're in possession of a firearm, depending on the circumstances. And obviously, that like if you didn't know it was in there and it's your dad's truck and you're borrowing your dad's truck and it's your dad's gun and he put it in there, probably gonna let that slide. If it's your gun because you're going hunting and you're a juvenile, it's illegal for you to possess a firearm without adult supervision, so you need to know your gun laws. That would be my advice to you. But if it's in the car, better safe than sorry. I would tell them I carry off duty and I'm no longer a police officer, and I just let them know, hey, I have a firearm, it's in the glove compartment, and I just keep your hands on the steering wheel, don't do any sudden movements. A lot of times they'll say, okay, where is it? Great. What's your name? You give them your information, and they may ask you to step out of the car to separate you from for their safety and your safety. That's fine. Just listen to what they have to do. But it's not uncommon for us to tell us, and the people who tell us typically aren't the ones we need to worry about as well. So the more information you give us, the easier it is, and the better and the more smooth it's going to go for everybody.
So remember, guys, if you are pulled over and you have those things, to be upfront, and the more information, the better.
Or even like a knife, or say your tackle box got a knife in it. It's okay to say, hey, my tackle box is on the floor and it's got a knife in it. Do you still want me to reach in the glove box and get it? I'm not reaching for my weapon. And they may say, no, you know what, why don't you step out? And then they may reach in and get it, or they may reach in and remove the tackle box, let you get your stuff, and leave the tackle box off to the side of the road. When it's all done, put the tackle box in and just create distance. So that's fine.
Okay, and then you kind of went into this of things what not to do. Are there any like common things that you see? Because kids are probably really nervous when you pull them over. Well, I guess most people are.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah. Common things that people do other than put your hands where where you can see them, obviously, and then not make any sudden move. Is there anything that they need to be aware of on that right there?
I would say keep your hands. The biggest concern for an officer is their hands. So if he can see your hands, he's going to be way more relaxed than if they're in a pocket or under your seat. If they're doing something like that, it's going to cause us concern, because that's the things that hurt officers, is somebody's hands and the weapons that they're going to carry in their hands. If I can see your hands, even if there's a gun or something in there, I'm going to be way more calm because I can see what's in your hands and I can see that you have nothing that's going to hurt me, which then gives everybody more time to deal with whatever situation, and it's a lot better. So I always, when I get pulled over, I just put my hands on the steering wheel, I wait for them to come up and let them tell me, hey, I need your registration, a license, registration, insurance, and I usually keep them in my glove box, and if I'm carrying my weapon, I'll let them know that, and then I will reach to the glove compartment and grab that out, but just slowly, nothing's fast, hand it to them, and then keep my hands on the wheel until they come back, so.
Okay, so, and that was another thing that he alluded to as well, is that your behind the wheel instructor should have told you this, but you obviously need your license, right? Your license, registration, and proof of insurance, okay? So I'm not entirely sure the tickets on that. Like, so let's say,
So insurance, if you have it, they have a cell phone app, so if you
Yeah.
have it, or I can call somebody who can verify that you have insurance, your insurance, that's probably gonna work. If you have an app that shows me you have it, or if you have an actual paper copy, that works for the insurance. Registration you need to have in the vehicle, and there's a little X on that says sign here. Make sure you sign the insurance. That's your verification that it's yours and you had it. Most officers won't cite you for that, but there's actually a citation you can get for not signing.
okay, so make sure it's signed.
Make sure it's signed, somebody signed it, whether it's your mom,
Yeah.
somebody, as long as it's signed, you're fine. And then, like I said, the insurance, we just have to verify that car has insurance or you have insurance. So if you have insurance that covers you and your car, but you're driving your buddy's car and it doesn't have insurance, show them that you have proof of insurance. And most insurances are gonna cover you in any vehicle you drive, to include a rental car or whatever, so you're fine and it shouldn't be an issue, so.
Okay, and then you said license, insurance, registration. Okay, so those were pretty much, that's a good one. We're right at 12 minutes. So those are a few tips for you guys. I know you're starting out. Hopefully you will never have to get pulled over. You'll never get pulled over, so you won't have to do any of that stuff. But just so you know, there are a few things that you can do. We talked about young people and older people and stuff like that. But was there anything else, I guess? We good?
No, I think you did a good job.
Very good. Okay, so we'd like to thank Mr. Archuleta for that. For my case, so I know that you guys watched this. Go ahead and email me. He talked about it. Just say that I graduated from Meridian High School, and I'll know that you watched this. So we're going to have part 2. You guys are going to have questions, and then we're going to do this one more time, and we'll see if your questions are any good, and we'll try to wrap it up from there. So other than that, have a good day, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Goodbye.